and welcome back to At Home with Chic and Grace. I'm Kimberly. So today we're going to make some cute sweater pumpkins, and these are going to be a DIY kit that is going to be on my shop. So I wanted to show you a few different ways that we can make them, and there's going to be many different pieces to this kit, or I should say kits. It'll all coordinate together. So you can see over in this corner all these sweater pumpkins plus the one that I'm holding. So I'll pull these over and show them to you kind of in their groupings. So we've got a cute little truck that would work anywhere in your home, tiered tray, because that's really popular. And then this little pumpkin could go with it. I made it in another color because I'm really liking this neutral palette. So we've got that one. And then, oh yes, there's a Stay Cozy sign here. And he has a cute little easel. Again, it can sit anywhere. And I love like the 3-dimension of it. So I hope you can see all this, that it's in the frame. Oh yes. I'm not forgetting anything, am I? No. Okay, because the rest of it we're going to make today. So this actually is supposed to be a garland. There's 3 of them that will come together, and they have little holes on them that you can thread your jute through. But when I was putting it together, I didn't know where I was going to hang garland in the house. So I thought, you know what I would hang is single little pumpkins. And right now I just have them hanging back on my corbels here for display. But then I started thinking, well, how about just cute little guys, like for basket stuffers, bowl fillers, that don't have the hangers, or they can stand up all by themselves as well. So those will be an option. And then we've got the set of these 3 pumpkins. So I am going to move these and bring them in so you can see them here. Okay, and the little truck stands up by himself, or he has a kickstand on the back. And then that way you can decide what angle you want to lean them at. So I started painting with this color, and I like it. I like it with the green. But then when I introduced this color, I was like, ooh, I really like this in the green. So I'm going to show you what this color is. We do have another piece we're going to do with it, or paint today in this color. But, and he does look really good with the green. But we're going to focus most of the pieces on these colors. All right. So in the set, it will come with those ones. You can add this on as an extra if you want. Like, you'll have the option. So in fact, I think I'll probably set it up. We'll see. No promises on this. It depends on my website, but I'll maybe even try to set it up so you can just choose, because maybe you only want this guy. So anyhow, this is our little set. We've got a stacked pumpkin, a big, a medium, and a small. So you can like decorate with these in endless ways. So let's get these out of the way again, and we are going to get right to it because I have lots I want to show you today. So just don't want these all falling over. I don't want to knock anything. Okay, there we go. That should be good. So what we are going to do today is we're going to do a little door hanger. Lost my words there. But it doesn't have to hang on a door. When we are all done, it could like sit at your front entrance, and you can make this post. This post will be on my website shortly as well, and then you can hang it on here. So when we're all done, I'm going to show you what that looks like. All right, so for now, I will hang this guy back up. And these, I know these aren't on my website yet either. They are coming soon, but these are all interchangeable, and I have a whole bunch of different kinds, and they just magnet on, so I put that on the back and slide those right in, and then these interchange. You can hang them. I've got them so that they stand. I've got some with just one square. I've got some that don't say hello. I've got some with 3 squares. That's a whole nother video. Hopefully very soon. So, and hopefully these will be on the website very soon too. All right, let's just get this guy out of the way for right now. And we're gonna get cracking here. So the colors I'm using today are, you are not gonna be in my frame here. So let me fix that. Sorry about that, guys. Didn't realize how close I was zoomed in, and this lens likes to fall. Okay, so we are going to work with, or do this door hanger like I was saying. So we've got several different pieces for this. I've painted some because you don't need to watch me paint everything. So then I'm going to show you how to paint the rest of the pieces. So when you get your kits from me, you're going to get everything cut out into a template like this so that you can easily paint all your items without getting paint down in the sides. So you can see like all these pieces I have sitting here already. When I'm sometimes cutting my own out, I don't get them cut in the template yet, but I just taped them. Well, I put tape on the back. These will all have tape on the back too to keep all these extra parts in there. You will lose the odd extra part, as you can see. They drop down into my laser bed, but that's only on the small pieces. And then these ones, they're still in the piece of wood. But anyhow, they will all be in a template like this. That way you can easily paint it and your paint doesn't seep down the side as long as you don't have loads on there. And I'm going to show you all of that. So we've got the whole sign that we're going to do, and I've got the words sweater weather here that will attach here. Okay, so let's just need more space. I need a bigger table. All right, so that is one project we're going to do. The next project we're going to do, and I thought about putting this all together, but I wanted to show you how to put this together. So this is going to be a sign. Once it's all done, it will have a nice frame on it. Okay, and then we are going to take some different pieces and you drop them in. So this will say harvest, and then it's got pumpkin, sweater, fall, and a bunch of other words here. And then I've got the harvest stuck on some tape right now because I was painting it. I've got it scored into the back. This is engraved, and I'm going to show you how to paint this without getting your paint stuck inside. The scoring is here as just a reference to where to put your harvest. So I'll show you that as well. But there is a couple pieces that I seem to have, I was going to say I seem to have misplaced, but I have not. They're sitting over here. That we're going to paint that have some scoring. So this is going to be another sign. All my pieces here. We're going to do a pumpkin spice season, and then you'll have to use your imagination right now. And then it's got this is the whipped cream, and it's scored, so I'm going to show you how to paint that to not fill in your scoring as well. So your engraving is always deeper than the scoring is. So, but we don't want to fill it in with paint. Okay, so this is another sign, this pumpkin spice, and then we've got one more that we will put this little green pumpkin together on, oh, except that I painted the wrong side, so I guess we will show you how to do that again. And we are going to put this whole pumpkin together, and then it will say sweater weather, and I've got sweater done, and I'll do weather while you're here. This is the little kickstand that is for the back of the frame. I'll show you all that, and it looks like I got to paint the back sides of that too. So here I was all prepared. All right, so I'm gonna just scoot some of these to the side so that I don't mess them all up, because I want to keep the same colors together here. Okay. So this, once this is all put together, it has a little spot down here where you can just pop your sign in and out of. Okay, that needs to be there. All right, so colors. Let's go over supplies that we need. You're gonna need some kind of glue. I use Aleene's Quick Dry Tacky Glue. I use it almost 95% of the time. I'm going to just zoom you back in a little bit so you can better see everything I'm doing. That should be good. All right, and when I need like it to come out really fine, I have these little bottles that I got from Amazon, and I just squirt my Aleene's into there and use these. So I've got two of them. One works better than the other, so I don't know if there's better bottles out there or not, but the one keeps working well for me. I'm using Fusion Mineral Paint. You don't have to. This is what I'm using. I used Conservatory and Coral and Cashmere. So those are the three colors I used on all of this. Yeah, that's it. There's a stain, and I will show you that. The reason why I love Fusion is it has a top coat built right into it, so you don't have to seal this. Sometimes though I will wax because I like the feel of the wax, and I also will put an extra sealer on if I know it's going to be outside. So for the door hanger, I would put an extra coat of something on there. Okay, so then whoops, I don't have this one here. Sorry guys, you gotta see my head for a second. Try to go around. Alright, so then I use, I don't know exactly how you pronounce these. Saman, that's what I call them. Could be something else. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Dark oak is what you see on everything here, but I did use the Colonial on the cinnamon sticks for the little pumpkin spice latte. So you could use a different color of paint there as well, but that is just what I used. You could use the dark oak if you were if you weren't staining the background. So the nice thing is you guys get to choose your colors, right? That's the whole idea of DIY kits, is that you get to make them to fit your own home decor. So couple other things that you will need is some raffia, because we will be putting raffia bows. Well, I did. You don't have to, but I put them on everything. I love the raffia bows for this set. I think that's about it. And then you'll have to decide how you're hanging your door hanger. I haven't decided exactly how we're doing that. Today we'll probably use jute. I don't know if it'll stay like that. And I use makeup sponges to paint. So just dollar store is actually where I get them. And then I cut them down all the time too. So I'll have like little ones, itsy bitsy ones too. Sometimes I cut them down and use them up until they are all gone and I can't use them anymore. Okay, so we need to get things started here. Oh, sorry, one more thing. You'll need some like dry brushing pieces here, and I do use a little tiny brush when I stain the stems of my pumpkins. I did that, and then I wiped it back with paper towel. So paper towel, baby wipes. These are for dry brushing. When it comes to the big pieces, I sponged this pumpkin with like a makeup brush. You could use just a regular artist brush. I'm just dabbing the water off it. You could use like a regular artist brush. That is what I used on the back. I like to paint with the grain, so when I was doing this one, my grain went up and down. You don't have to. You can do whatever you want. But I did up and down. And I did paint this with the brush as well, up and down. But when we do this one, we'll be doing it with a makeup sponge. So I'm gonna show you quite a few, well, not quite a few, but a few different ways that you can get things done. All right. So let's start here with just see, I was all organized and now I feel like I'm not. Okay, let's get some of this white stuff done, which is cashmere. Cashmere is a nice warm brown, not brown, a nice warm white. It's kind of got more brown undertones to it instead of yellow. So I keep saran wrap on the lids so that they don't dry clothes on me. Okay, I've got sponges out here, so I'm gonna get these guys set aside. And you can use a spoon and scoop paint out, but I always, because I shake it before I use them, I always have a little bit on the saran wrap. So I always have some easily accessible, sorry. Okay, so dip in, do not load this up too much, like not much at all. Let me see if I can bring you down again a little bit more. Okay. You want to really dab that off. Oh yeah, see, there is my lens falling. I think I just have to keep us in the frame, but this should still be good. So you just very, very, very light touches. Like, don't worry about full coverage the first time. You just do, because you've blotted so much off. I didn't even show you that. You couldn't even see it. Everything into the frame here. All right. Sorry guys, I'm still getting used to this camera setup, so I'll stumble around, I'm sure, the next couple videos. So I don't have full coverage yet, but I'm being very mindful not to have a ton of paint on there, and I'm not putting a lot of pressure because I don't want it to seep down my sides. So we don't have full coverage yet. That's okay. And even before I put the second coat on, I'm going to give this a light sanding. Okay, a couple other things I want to tell you guys too is sometimes your pieces could come to you with a little extra soot on your piece, because at some point my laser is like, oh yeah, I need to be cleaned, and so we just get a little extra soot on here. Sand it off. You can use, I just use a sanding block. It's one of those multi grit ones, and so you're just going to sand. I'm going to do this away from the table so that we don't have sand, or means, yeah, like, I just don't want all that mess on there. So it's not going to totally come off, but the more of a grit that you have on there, the more that it comes off. So I don't worry about it too much. Unless you were doing white, then you might want to sand a little bit more. But this is good. Okay, so the other thing that you want to be mindful of is the edges. Because it's cut on a laser, there is charring on the edges. So depending on what wood we have used, this one's birch, so it is a much darker charring and it will come off on your finger. It is just the nature of lasers. So sometimes I'll sand the edge, or I'll just wipe it off. I would definitely seal up the edges. The edges is something that I would seal up if you're not painting them. And you can do that with just like a light spray of like a Krylon spray or Rust-Oleum spray. That'll work. Or you can use a brush with a sealer like a polyacrylic or a fusion top coat or something. If we use the maple, which that is what we like, but it depends on availability because we can't pick it up in town. We always have to order it. It has an engineered core, and so then you get just a much cleaner edge. I have none here. This is all birch. All of the pieces that I've showed you were cut out of the engineered stuff, and you hardly had any burning. Birch is full of glue on the inside, and that's why this happens. So anyhow, I just like to give you those little tips in case you are wondering. So sand if you need to prior to painting. And even you'll see on this edge here, we've got a little bit of burning or soot. So I'm just going to take and sand that off really quick. I'm only doing that because it's not on all of my edges. If it was on all of my edges, I may or may not do it, but just on one, it would be noticeable. Okay, so this is where the template is super nice because now you'll notice that the E is missing the center and your pieces could come to you like that, and that is fine. It just means, well, it fell down in the laser bed. So, but just, you're not pressing hard. You can have a teeny bit more paint and press a little harder than we did on the whipped topping, but you don't want to be loaded up with paint or it will still seep down in the sides. And then the paint can dry and then you won't get your words out and then, you know, you're not happy. So, okay, first coat. This is going to be stained, so we'll come back to that. Let's get this guy done here. It's going to take a minute. This you have to be very careful with. Just such a light hand. So I always like to start on the edge and then like come in over the words. So you see how I'm not filling those words in because I am using such a light hand. I'd rather come back and do 3 or 4 coats on this. You wouldn't need that many. This cashmere covers so well that you won't need that many, but I would rather come back in and do that many coats than try to get that paint out of those letters or try to clean those letters up. If you do need to clean those letters up, that dark oak stain, you could take a tiny little brush and paint in there and it actually does fix it up nicely. But it's tedious, but if needed, it works. Okay, so I'm probably just going to speed this along so that you don't have to watch me do all this painting. Okay, so this is got its first coat on. It's uneven. That is okay. It's not full coverage. That is okay. You're not going to get full coverage the first coat. So I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to give it a really light sanding, and I'll show you that on these other pieces. And then when I come back, these ones will all be done. Okay. But before I go, okay, I'm just going to completely move him out of the way. Oh, there's my sandpaper. Putting any kind of paint on raw wood lifts the grain, so it starts to feel a little rough. So after your first coat, just give it a little sanding, and it's nice and smooth. And like, I actually like this coverage here. I mean, it's not full coverage. I can still see my wood grain and that through there, but it gives it a nice rustic look. Okay, and sometimes with these pieces, it's easier to put it on your sanding block, and as long as you're going with the grain, always sand with the grain. Nice and smooth. So we'll give it another coat. So I'm going to go and give all three of these another coat. No, I don't think I need to give this guy another coat. He's all done. Sometimes I'll just tape my words. I can't remember if I told you this before, but oh yeah, I think I did. But anyhow, just because mine aren't cut out into templates, sometimes I just tape them to there. But you still will get paint on your edges. So it just depends on how picky you are, because you can very carefully sand that off, these words, or you can take the stain and touch those up. Depends on the look that you're going for. So I am going to get these done, and when I come back, they will be ready. Okay guys, I've got 2 coats on these. You can still see, I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick it up, but you can still see some of the wood grain through here, and I am okay with that. If you don't want that, then a couple more coats is what you're going to need. But this one is still drying, so it does look a little bit uneven, and I am going to give mine a teeny bit more of a sanding, because I'm okay if it looks a little bit uneven. I've got my second coat on. Actually, I do have my second coat on, but maybe not so good. Doesn't look like I put much on the bottom, so okay. Anyhow, second coat on there. So what I wanted to show you was, there sometimes can be, not even sure if you're going to be able to see this or not, and I don't think that's in focus. So there's a little white spot in the P here, and sometimes the laser just misses the teeniest, tiniest little piece. So this is where that stain comes in, and I just have stain in a little cup here on the side. So I take a tiny little fine-tipped brush, and in fact, you don't want very much stain on there at all. You could even use a finer one than this, but I will just touch it with that. And if I did happen to have too much paint on and I got it in my letters, I would then use this teeny little brush to fix it up. But I didn't, so I don't have to. And sometimes I don't even worry if there is a tiny little piece of wood that didn't quite engrave, or that was raised up too high, and then your sponge catches it just like it did on that piece. Sometimes I won't even worry about that. I'll just leave it. But I want to be able to show you guys all the tips and tricks. Okay, let's get on to painting the green. Let's do everything that needs to be green. So we're going to set those aside. That has to get some stain on it. We've already got the harvest done. I have the front pieces of this little pumpkin done. Thought I had the back done. Clearly I painted the wrong side. I was not paying attention. And we have this done, and this is for our door hanger. So I'm just going to set all that stuff to the side. We need to get this done. So I am going to actually, this little pumpkin that's on the side here, I'm going to stain him. So that is this piece and this piece and this piece. And then this will be his inside. Now I'm off the camera here again. Okay, so let me show you that again. This little piece, this piece, this piece, his stem and his inside. Those are all stained. This big piece and this piece are green. So I'm going to turn this upside down and let's get painting green. I will start at, at regular pace here, and then I'm going to speed it up. Or just come back and it'll all be done. You guys can let me know in the comments too, like, do you like to see all the painting? Do you like it sped up, or do you like it to come back and kind of be at that point? So, let me know. All right, again, offloading onto whatever a palette. It could be the paper that's on here, as long as you do not have very much on there. And this is Conservatory by Fusion, and it is a beautiful green, and it's beautiful coverage too. So when you're doing this, you don't have to worry about if you have all these little squares and pieces, because those pieces are popped out. I tend to cover them all because, well, I mean, every now and then I'll leave a little bit because I'll just remind myself, oh yeah, that piece isn't being used in the final product. So, but otherwise I usually end up going over it, but you don't have to. Okay, a little bit more paint here. I'm gonna just put that back over there. I like it to be on that side of me. Just be mindful in your templates, don't get paint on pieces you're going to stain. If you wanted to mask that off with some paint so you didn't stain on it, or paint, if you want to mask it off with some tape so you don't paint on the pieces that are going to get stained. Oh goodness, tripping over my words. So hopefully I can remember not to paint those pieces. Okay, so we need that guy, and we need this one. You could also use a small sponge in some of those areas if you didn't want to mask and you thought you were going to possibly hit your stained pieces. Okay, let's get this one to the side. Stained, 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 stained. Yeah, okay, I just had to count again. Okay, paint this little pumpkin. And remember, his little stem is stained as well. There's a score line here, and so you can see that you just want to go up to that score line. You can, if you need to, put your top piece on, and then you can kind of see if you've gone far enough or too far. Let's let those dry. And maybe instead of me coming back, let's get some staining done. And then what I'll do is just come back and show you all the staining and painting finished, and we can start some dry brushing. So where did I put my tiny, oh, there it is. Okay, so this is my dark oak. And we'll just be careful because this actually is drying really fast, but it is still a little on the wet side. But I'm just very carefully going in and staining. I'm not worried about whether that is even or not, because I'm going to take a little shop towel and I'm just going to wipe it back. So he's done until his next coat of paint. So I'm just going to rinse that out of my brush. Okay. So I'm also going to use a sponge. And I'm going to do the same thing with the weather. I'm just going to sponge it on. This, I know I didn't say this before, but this is a water-based stain. It dries nice and fast, and I don't notice an odor to it at all. So it might have one, but it's not very strong if there is. And this little heart is stained as well. So you can just leave it if you like it like that, or just wipe it back a little bit. If you wipe it back and you decide I want it darker, do another coat. Okay? That's the wood green that I'm seeing there. Pretty sure it is. Yep, it is. Wasn't sure if it was how I wiped it off or it was a wood green. Okay, let's get that to the side. Let's bring this back in. I'll turn it so you can see it, and we are going to, I put quite a bit on, I didn't dab this off, but that's because it's on this big piece right in the center. If I have a big piece like that, sometimes I'll just offload my paint into the center and work out to the edges. I hope that made sense. But I do like to work as fast as I can with the stain, just because it does dry pretty quickly. And then wipe, don't move on or it's going to dry and you're going to have all that splotchiness. Wipe it back. You could use a brush if you want. It's not that big of a deal if your stain seeps down the sides, because this matches the sides of the wood perfectly. It's like I was saying, I use it for touch-ups if needed. Okay. Okay, and then just don't get any on your green. You don't have to dab. You can drag it. I just like to make sure that if I am doing that, I'm going with the stain. And usually when I wipe back as well, I like to go with the stain. Okay, so I'm gonna, actually, I want that one to be a little darker. Okay, I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to give my green another little sanding, and when I come back we will start dry brushing. Okay guys, I'm back. I have second coat on all of the green that we were doing before, and I did not do a second coat on the stain. I just left it as is. So we're going to get to dry brushing. So I have dry brushed all of the cashmere with the dark oak stain. I'm going to show you how I do that. It's very easy. I don't know if you've dry brushed with paint before. It's basically the exact same thing. In fact, I find it almost a smidge easier. So you need to have a paper towel beside you, or just use the paper or whatever your surface is. We're going to do a big surface, so I want a bigger chip brush. If I was doing a smaller surface, like you'll see me do the letters and the whipped topper, we're going to use a smaller brush. Okay, so you need to offload that. You don't want stop and start lines, so you want to start off of your piece and go all the way through. This is a good place to practice because this is going to be covered up. There's a tiny little bit here that you're going to be able to see of your sign, but otherwise this is going to be covered up. So it's a good place to start practicing, and almost like you airplane off and are on and off. A little bit more right there, but that's okay. Like, it depends on what kind of look you want, but what you don't want is brush marks starting and stopping through your piece. I'm okay if it's heavier on the edges. If I don't want it to be heavier on the edges, baby wipe, right? That's not a very wet baby wipe. Let's get another one, but as long as you catch it right away, it's gonna come off for you. Well, for the most part. I did not catch that right away, but that is okay. If you did get too heavy in a spot, just paint back over it if it wouldn't come off with baby wipe. But I like that right there. Okay, so I like to just back and forth, but starting off the edge. Then I want to go the other way. I like to dry brush both ways. Almost gives you a little bit of cross hatching. Sometimes I dry brush a completely different way. I don't want any lines, and then you cross hatch. That's just not the look that I'm going for here, but you can do whatever you like. And if I decided that when I was done this and it was still too heavy, I could then maybe dry brush over top with my cashmere. But I am liking this. So I am good with that. Bring it in a little closer for you to see. There's some heavier spots like there and maybe in here. But once you get everything else on there, it's going to be fine. And before you start gluing things on, you can do like test all your pieces and see if you like it. And if you don't, then you can fix it up before you move on. Okay, so you could take this big brush to your small pieces, but you do have much more control if you have a smaller brush. And then the same thing, you just back and forth ever so lightly. This is a light hand, and it really depends on how much dry brushing you want to show up. Now this one, I'm actually only going to dry brush across because it's like the whipped cream topper. I don't actually want it going up and down as well. I hope you can see that. It's hard to sometimes see those white colors on camera. And then with the pumpkin words, I am going across it. And I'll probably go up and down. Okay, so I've got that done. Oh, we've got seasoned spice here, so it's pumpkin seasoned spice. Pumpkin spice season is actually what it is. All right, let's just drag it across. A little bit more. Took too much off. I'd rather reload and have too much off than try to rub it off and put too much on, right? So, and we did up and down on the other words, so we'll do up and down here. Okay, that is done. I want to do the same thing. Oh, I didn't give this another sanding. Just gonna quick give it a little sanding off camera. I'm gonna get a little bit more paint in my chip brush again. Really spread those bristles out when you are trying to get your paint out. Okay, I'm gonna go up and down. There's barely anything coming off. It is just ever so slightly. In fact, it's actually, what it's doing is nicely bringing out the grain in the wood. But I am gonna go across because I want a little bit of that across. I'm a little heavy on my sides. That's okay. I'm almost like antiquing the sides with the tips of the brushes. You can see it's a little heavy. Can you see how I just left it a little heavier on the edges? And I like that, kind of frames it in. Okay, and then we've got sweater weather. And I'm gonna do the same thing. but can you see the little tiny bit that I'm putting on there? It is not very much at all. Let's see. And then I'm gonna go sideways. I'm not putting very much on sideways, but I'm gonna frame in those edges again. That is done. Those brushes can be rinsed out because I think we're done with the staining for now. I'm just going to set those to the side just in case I need them. Okay. All right, so we've got those guys done. Now we are going to start, just want to make sure that no stain left on here. We're going to start dry brushing everything that is green, and we're using Cashmere. Well, everything that is green, that is stained, and that is that coral color is all getting dry brushed with Cashmere. Now, where is my other chippy brush? Clearly, I did not put it back where it was supposed to be, so I just have to get a different brush here. I like, you want to start with a dry brush, and I like it if they are tattered, or if you have a chip brush like this. That is actually what I was looking for, and I just don't know where my other guy went to. So anyhow, we're going to use this on this big piece. So you can have piece of paper towel. Actually, yeah, let's get another piece of paper towel here. You can just use the paper if you want, but I am just going to use paper towel. Get as much off of there as possible, and it's the exact same thing up and down, starting on the edges. You can see this a lot better than you can the stain. And now if you've noticed, it hits the edges a little bit, and that's great. I love that highlight all around the edges. Okay, now just want you to see this is sitting on our pumpkin like this. On all my pumpkins, I went up and down, across, and then I did diagonal. I like a lot of dry brushing on my pumpkins, so I'm going to get a little bit more paint. And just if you want more dry brushing, rather than loading your brush up heavier, just go over it many times. The more you go over it, the more dry brushed it is going to be. Okay, I'm going to go sideways. More paint. And then you can go diagonal. And the other way. Okay, that's what we've got on there for dry brushing. We'll set him to the side, and we're going to do the exact same thing on, see what I just did there? You see that brush mark, that is what I don't want. You can wipe it off, but then you got to wait for it to dry. I am just going to cover it up. By cover it up, I know that we're putting a pieces over top of it, so it'll be okay. And then up and down, and I did diagonal as well. I want to show you some of these small pieces and some words, and then I'm going to finish all this dry brushing up. Okay, so up and down. I don't hardly have anything on my brush. Still didn't get much. There we go. Okay. Sorry, I tend to hold the small pieces so close to my body. Well, I hope you were seeing all of that. But I will show you again, just in case. Okay, so there is this guy. Now, when it comes to these little circles, let me bring the camera closer for you guys. I taped my lens so that it wouldn't drag on me. So if you hear that, because it just be the way I have my camera set up, my lens wants to fall, like fall as in the zoom. It wants to fall sometimes. Okay. All right, so just hold it down. Be gentle with these if they're not in their template. If they're in their template, easy peasy. It's still easy, but just be gentle with them. Let's get a little bit more paint here. It's hard when you've got the little tiny piece here to go side to side. I mean up and down diagonal. Like I usually am just getting it on there the best I can with when you're holding it like that. Okay, so it's a little heavy in some spots, but you know what? I think that that's okay. So I'm going to move those guys to the side, and then the words are the same. Just dragging it across. And I'll just go up and down and across. The words I'm not going to go diagonal on. But I really like concentrating on the edges and getting that highlight on the side of some of the words, of the letters, I mean. You probably can't see that when I'm doing it, but it's very subtle. It's up to you guys how much you put on, but just gonna hit it just a smidge more there. Okay, so let's put that guy to the side. Let me bring in sweater so that you can see what it looks like on the stain. I realize I'm offloading everything off camera now. So just nicely to this, nicely, just softly to the side. I don't put much on the stain, so it's one way, and then we'll hit it the other way too. Just gonna hit it from the top, especially on the S there, but it just gives it a tiny, tiny little bit. And so then all this other stuff will be popped out. You'll see all of that. Okay, I am gonna just continue on. I'm gonna dry brush all of these. I am going to dry brush this. I don't think I'm dry brushing that, but I'm gonna dry brush this all with the same color. I'm going to run some dry brushing over the stems and the hearts. I am not dry brushing that frame, and I am going to dry brush this weather and this heart. So I will get all of that dry brush. It's the exact same thing, and then I will come back. All right. Okay, guys, we are going to start assembling everything. So let me see here what we are going to do first. In fact, I think what we should do first is get our little frame put together so that it has time to dry. Okay, so your frame is in all these different pieces. And I stained the back of this, but I did not stain the back of the pieces that are getting glued down. But I always stain the back of everything. Even the little, well, that guy's painted. I gotta fix him. But these little guys here, whoops, knocking them over. I stain the back of everything. That way everything, it just is finished. And I do it at the beginning because sometimes I don't like to stain when everything is done, right? Okay, and oh, I need to tell you, I didn't dry brush the hearts or the stems. I forgot that I didn't do that. What I did do before I assembled them is I gave them a little sanding. Just hit the edges a little bit. I don't know why I'm doing it so far over there. Anyhow, because I didn't want to have it on here, but I just gave them a little sanding. And you could do the exact same thing with this frame, just to add a little character. Let's just sand the inside. You can get a different sander. That one's kind of blocky. This little guy is wonderful, and then you can change out the grit of sandpaper on it. I've got a really fine one on here right now. I've got like, yeah, I've got 400 on here right now, but it still does the trick. So this stain, because it's water-based, it didn't raise the grain necessarily putting this coat on, but if I go to seal this, it's going to raise the grain. So once you have, if you want to spray it, and I usually do spray my stained items, unless they're just like the little hearts on these, I'm not going to worry about that. But if something's getting handled all the time, then I would put it together and then spray it. But then you can take like a really fine paper and go back over top of it. It's a little more difficult, but I don't want to spray it and then glue it because the glue might not adhere. So you kind of got to decide what you want to do with that. So I'm going to sand the edges, the outside edges, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to just run the sandpaper along here. You'll notice every now and then little pieces that are lighter. It's because there was a glue pocket. Sometimes there could even be a little bit of a hole in the sides. It's a glue pocket, and you never know what's going to happen. But you can see the glue was here and it ran through because you can see it down there too. And it is just the nature of birch. But like I said, we like maple too, but we just can't, it's just not readily available all the time. So we use both. Okay, so I'm just going to sand the edges and the side here. I'm just doing it off camera, guys, so I don't get like it all over the table.
helps when you seal. So I still have yet to figure out the best thing, but I love this thing. So I will
And also once you sand, or once you seal this too, it just richens the color. All right, I have a couple clamps that we're going to use to put this all together with. Sometimes I just use these baggy clamps, and then other times I use better clamps. So this is again the Aleene's Tacky Glue. The whole list of supplies will be in the description. Okay, let's get that on there. And then I like to just run my fingers down the top, down the sides and on the top, straight up and down, clamp it. Make sure it doesn't move because it loves to move. You just think you have it in the right spot and you don't. There, now we're good. Everything's good and flush. So, just going to give it a second to dry. So let's just take those and set them to the side for a quick second. And while that is drying, let's see what we can take apart and glue. Let's do this guy while that is drying. So I don't stain the backs of pieces like this because it's getting glued down. Anything that's getting glued down, I don't worry about the backs. Oh yeah, you know what you do need to do? I forgot to tell you this. This is the point, if you have any of those spots on the edges, make sure to touch them up. And if you have any paint on your edges, get rid of them. And sometimes you can just take your sanding block and run it over. There's not enough on here that I would even be worried about it because it's not sloppy. It's just a teeny bit, but I just want to show you that. Okay, oh, my cat is going to jump up onto the table here. So those score lines are there so that, sorry guys, my head was in the way and my cat is going to be in the way. Okay, no, you have to get down. Okay, so we want to make sure that all the score lines are covered up. Okay, you can clamp that down. Sometimes when I am dealing with score lines, I like to just hold it in place for a second or two because depending on what clamps you're using, you can move it and then you come back in and it's like, ah, oh, dang. So if you hold it down for a second or two here, and then make sure that that glue has started to tack up before, see it moved there on me. Can't see any score lines now. I think we're good. Okay. Just really check it well. Make sure that it is set up there good. Okay, so this is the messy part. Turn your piece over and just take out, or like peel off your tape. And most of those pieces are just gonna fall out. And if they don't, they just need a gentle nudge. Okay, that piece is all done. Let's get these out of here so we don't need them anymore. Sorry guys, he's obviously done his nap and he thinks it's time to come and see me. All right, so we're just gonna move back to this. This will be dry enough. This stuff dries so quick. All right, so these are, we've got 2 short guys, 2 long guys. So we should be good. If you want, you can spread this out with your fingers or a brush. And this stuff dries clear too. So if you do get any that it seeps out, I try to wipe it away as well, but it does dry clear. Okay, let's get a side piece put on. That might have been a little bit too much there. Where's my wet wipe? Oh, way over here. I like this glue because you have some working time too. Sometimes it does move around a little bit too much, but I'd rather be able to move it than not be able to move it, if you know what I mean. Gorilla Glue, I use Gorilla Wood Glue sometimes too, so that is another great one. Okay. This one had so much glue on the side one. You can't even see what I'm doing. It keeps slipping and sliding on me, so I am trying to make sure it's all good and lined up here. Okay, feel like we're good. We can put this one on. Okay, I am going to clamp them. I just like that extra pressure. Helps hold the glue down good. Making sure everything is flush again before I... Sometimes these big clamps actually put so much pressure on it that it actually makes them move. So sometimes, especially when you have a whole bunch of glue under there like I do, sometimes putting 2 on is better. This guy keeps sliding on me, so. You could also, I'll just show you this too. Everything's in place. But if you need more pressure, just set some paint on them. Okay, so we can just do that and slide it to the side. I don't have a 4th one. I don't have anything here that's heavy enough, so. Okay, we're just gonna put it to the side and it'll be fine. All right, this guy is gonna be dry enough for us by now. So on the back side, because he's so tiny, that's when I like to use this guy. And he's almost empty on me. I really got to fill him up. And I just get as much on as I can to all the pieces that are going to connect. And if I feel like I have too much on the sides, or if it's dripping, I'll hit it with my finger, or I'll just use my finger to spread it out. Just gotta remember where I put my baby wipe all the time. So, not sure if you've seen me, if I was on camera or not, but just spread it out with your finger if needed. Okay. Make sure he's all lined up on the bottom. And the sides are lined up. And at this point, we're going to take this as your filler piece. We did not need to paint it. So we're going to take it and we're going to put it on here and make sure it's all lined up. Okay, just want everything to be nice and lined up here. Okay, feels good. Everything feels like it's lining up. Great. All right, this is our next piece. You can most certainly paint this glue on as well. I have a little bit seeping down this edge here and that edge too, but that's okay. I'll get it off in a second. I want to get my topper on because I want them to be all lined up. It's perfect. It's so stinking cute. Okay, let's just try not to move it at all. So still have a teeny bit of wiggle room in my dry time, even on my second layer, but I think I have everything exactly where I want it. I'm going to show you a couple things once we've given this time to set up. Just want to make sure that it's all where it needs to be. Okay, so let's just let this guy dry for, oh, actually, let's get the words on. We might as well let it all be drying at the same time. Okay, so I can just peel that off. Now, if I was really wanting to go in, I could touch this up. Could also, what did I do with that? Oh, it's right in front of me. You could also go in there with some sandpaper very lightly and get that off. Even just a piece of sandpaper. Fold it over and get in there, and then if you wanted to, you could hit it with some stain. So I'm pretty good the way it. All right, let's get that glued on. Okay. Again, those score lines are there for placement. It looks good. It's so cute. Oh my goodness, it's so cute. Okay. And these have got some chunkiness to them. I don't want to turn it sideways yet, but well, I can turn these guys sideways. Like, I cut them all out of 1/4 inch. I could have done like 1/4 inch on the bottom and 1/8 inch and 1/8 inch, but I actually like how cute and chunky they are, and they stand up by themselves. And these are all done at a 1/4 inch as well, and I like the dimension. So, okay, so let's make sure that's not slipping and sliding, and it's not. Okay, let's take the tape off of here. There's something so satisfying about this part here, when you take this tape off and all your letters just fall out. Except when they don't fall out. And every now and then, if they don't fall out, one, it could be that you got paint down in there. The other thing could be is that there might have just been a teeny tiny little piece that didn't cut all the way through with the laser, and that is typically because of a glue pocket. But all you have to do is just give it a gentle nudge and it'll come out, because that's exactly what had happened to that one. And you can see on the bottom here, those white pieces. That is what was holding that in there. You can touch that up with some stain if you want. I'm just going to leave mine, and we are just going to glue this on. Looks great. So just want to make sure that you can't see. Nope, everything looks good. All looks good. So I'm just going to set this guy aside to fully dry. Let's get back to our frame because we want that guy to be all finished. Okay. Oh, he's going to look great. So let's turn him over. And we'll get our pieces. Yeah, okay. Sometimes I have to remind myself exactly. So I like to line the bottom up here. And then slide this in. Okay, this is the piece here that is going to get glued onto the back. These pieces get glued on in here. We're going to glue one in, and then this goes in here. And this one, actually, we'll put both these on and glue them in together. It is easier that way. So all gets glued on, and then this hinges back and forth for you. Okay, so I want to make sure that it is centered. I'm going to lift this off, and where is my pen? Well, we'll use pencil. I'm just going to make myself a mark. I just like to make a mark so I can make sure I have it back in the right spot. Make sure you're using a good amount of glue to hold this into place too. Okay. So I like to mark it on both sides and top and bottom so that I know that I've got it in the right spot. And then let's just do a quick dry fit. Yep, that'll be good. Okay, so before we glue these in here, I want this to dry. So it's going to set it to the side. It needs to dry. Let's start putting our sign together. Or, you know what we should do is do our sign last, and let's finish up all these pieces. Okay, so this guy doesn't have much at all that we have to do. I have the harvest on the tape. We're going to pull this off, and then the extra bits will fall out. Let's get that glued together. Oh, we're going to need this. Much easier to see your score lines on the light piece than it is on the stained piece. Like that went down super, super easy. This would be super cute, like in a burnt orange as well. I thought about doing the burnt orange instead of the coral, but I do like to decorate a little bit in with some corals at Christmas time, or not Christmas time, fall, like a peachy color. So I thought that it would be just nice to have a few pieces of it. Okay, that guy is done. We got sweater weather to do. So this piece is getting glued down. Okay, before we start putting the rest on, I want him to dry. So let's go back to our frame. So with those two pieces on there, put a little bit of glue on the inside of your pieces, and that was a lot of glue. So I'm just going to take my Q-tip and scoop some out and put in the other side. But you do really want more in here than not enough. You want this to hold. You can put a little bit on the sides of these if you want to. And then let's get those in there, and they'll just pop right in. Okay. Take and clean up any of your glue that is seeping out. Like I said, it will dry clear, but you don't want gobs of glue. So I'll just clean that up. Sometimes I'll just take a baby wipe too with my fingernail and get in there. It's good. Let's let that dry. All right. Let's pull this apart. One more. Come on out. Just checking my edges to see if there's anything that I want to fix. Just where that little glue pocket was. That's it. Let's get this guy glued on. Okay. Now, it is good to dry fit this, but you'll notice that there's a skinnier bump and a tiny little bit of a wider bump. The skinnier bump goes at the bottom. So you'll want to dry fit that too before, so you make sure you're putting it in the right place. I'm just wiping the glue off the edges with my fingers as I am making sure that this is all flush. And so you're going to notice that you can see the paint underneath. So one, you could take before you glue everything on, like I was showing you before, and sand all these edges down, which if I have a lot of paint on, I do. This one, I should have done the bottom base. I should have done that before. I did not do that. So we're just going to take some stain when it's all done and fix it up. All right. And the same with this guy. This end is a little skinnier than that end. Get them lined up. Press them down. Where's a Q-tip? So you can get in there, and Q-tip will usually fit. Oh, is he not? Okay. And the other thing too is your raffia that goes on the top is also going to cover some of that. So we've got weather to put down here. We've got to glue his heart in the middle, and we've got sweater to put on top. So we are going to get to that. Oh goodness, sometimes you just have to fiddle to get them out. Oh yeah, this guy, I forgot. He actually did not cut all the way through, and I was fixing him with an X-Acto knife, and I thought I got it all. But I might have to play with it a little bit more here. So, okay guys, I'm back. I had a battery die, so I had to wait for that to charge, and I can't exactly remember where we left off. Oh, right. We were here. So I took the X-Acto knife and cut that little piece out, and I've got these glued on. So let me show you our finished little sign here. It's all dry now. They just pop out. So like there's this little hole here. They just pop out. So isn't like that harvest cute? I'll move this guy out of the way for a second. And then our sweater weather. Glued his little heart in as well. We're going to put some raffia on this guy. And our pumpkin spice, I glued his heart on too. So really, really cute. Oh, I love them. Okay, I want to show you just so you can see from up above how it sits. And sometimes, depending on the surface, you put this little kickstand on. Like you can lean it back as far as you want, but then after a while it just wants to lean or to slide, right? So if you have like a little grippy or something, you can put on there. But I have big ones and I haven't had a problem yet. I find that they usually end up butting up against something as well. So let me just take this guy back out, pop this guy in, put him away. So the other thing I did off camera, sorry for my head again there. Anyhow, the other thing I did off camera was I just took my little brush and stain and I just went, I didn't realize there was water on that. So I just went in and with little tiny bits of stain and just touched it up. Like it's basically the exact same color as the soot on the bottom, so then you can't even tell that there is any. And I don't get too crazy about it, but I mean, I like it to look nice and clean. So sometimes you have to do two coats. Like if you're trying to cover something light, then you'll want to do two coats, but one basically does it. If you get this and it is the birch, the charring isn't as much, so this is still the best color for it, but sometimes I will put it on and then just wipe it back a little bit to blend it, and it works good. Okay, so this has been a longer video, so I want to get this all finished up with you guys. So what I did was I went ahead and I had to paint this heart green. So I painted him green and dry brushed him. I forgot he needed to be a different color. But I've glued on our bottom pumpkins here and the letters. I mean, it's all scored on there. You can see exactly where they go, and gluing's gluing, right? I figure you only need to see so much of it. I was going to go ahead and glue everything on, but I thought I would come back and finish it all up with you. So I just took my sandpaper and just sanded very lightly the edges of the stems and the hearts. So I just went over them and I just hit them ever so slightly. Sorry, really try not to do that off camera, but I do that. And the stems there. Okay, so, and then we're going to get to the raffia bows made and get this guy hung up on our little post behind us so you can see what that looks like. Okay, so I'm just going to speed this up and get this all glued together.
Fingers along the edges here. I'm just making sure everything is nice and lined up.
Okay, so you've seen me glue that on and then take it off. I didn't like where it was. So as long as you catch it in time, it's all good. I think I'm moving this one down a little bit more too. There we go. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. I'm so glad that I decided on these colors. I just about painted this one the coral and it would look really pretty, but I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. So I thought last minute, I'm staining it and I'm so glad that I did because this is super cute. Okay, there is some glue that I do need to clean up in some spots. But I really want to wait for it to dry a little bit more. Well, I say that and here I am keeping going. I just don't, no, I'm going to not because I don't want to chance moving these. Like, look at this guy. He is moved already on me. They just slip and slide sometimes. And a lot of times that is because I put so much glue on. There. things are just about dry. This is just a little tool from Chocature. I'll link it for you guys. I do sell a little bit of Chocature. Mainly I use it for my own personal stuff, but I'll give you guys a link if there's things that you want, because every now and then from time to time I use stuff. These little paint trays are also from there. And they are so great because you can just, once this is dry, just peel the paint right up and then reuse it. So, okay, that is all glued. Let's set it to the side, and we are going to get the hot glue gun down here. Turn it on. Hopefully it doesn't die on me. I need a bigger battery. I've got this Ryobi, and I really like it because it's heats up super fast. It's cordless, but I don't have a very big battery, so it dies all the time. I can't get through a project with it. So one of these days I'm going to get a bigger battery. Okay, Raffia, because we want a bow for this guy, and we are going to make 2 bows for these guys. So let me show you. So you can glue these bows in different places. I glued them right on like the front of all of these pumpkins that I did. But then when I did these little itty bitty guys, where's the hanging itty bitty guy? Oh, here he is. The hanging guy I still glued on the front, but for some reason I wanted it to be on the top of these ones. You just put them where you want them. I just figured that if these were like little bowl sitters, like filling a bowl, I don't know. That's just how I did it. So you guys figure out how you want to put them on. All right, these guys back out of the way. And show you how I do my raffia bows. So I want a little bit longer pieces. This one will actually work for that short guy, but I want to get some bigger ones done here. So let's pull these out. Just depends on how full you want them to how many pieces you're going to use. So I'm going to start with this. I might be able to get 2 bows out of this, but what I like to be able to do is pull some of these apart, because then it gives you a fuller bow rather than these thicker pieces, especially when we're working with smaller little guys here. So okay. So some of them I make really skinny, some of them I leave a little thicker. It comes apart really, really easily. All right, so let's start on this end. Now I want a fair amount hanging down. I like long raffia. If you don't, you won't use as much as me. I just do a simple bow. And then just like to scrunch them up. And thought I was doing that guy first. Apparently I'm not. So I think these ones I'm going to set on top just because it's a door hanger. And actually, I don't know. I like them. I like them better right on the front. But this here makes your raffia go out to the side more, and I actually like it hanging down the front more. So that is the main reason why I did it. So let me buy my scissors. I'm gonna cut this off, and I'm not gonna get a whole nother bow out of that. I thought I could, but we can still use some of those pieces. Okay, So, I'm gonna just pause this, I think, and make the other two bows quick, just because, or at least get them separated and come back on and tie them and glue them, just because my other battery is going to die, and I really want to get this finished for you guys. Okay. All right, I have got all the bows made. Nothing's glued on, and I haven't trimmed them or fluffed them or anything. I wanted to show you all of that. So let's just start with this little guy. Obviously I use thinner pieces, or not as many, so he doesn't need to be that thick of a bow. So I just like to kind of scrunch them up on the ends. And then this one I am going to glue on the top. So I am going to get just a little tiny bit of hot glue, and let's get him glued right onto the top. I'm not gluing him right back at the stem. You can if you want, but there is, you can't even see that. You can push it back further if you want, but I'm not going to. Okay, then what I like to do is I kind of just like to take and squinch the, that's a good word, squinch, those raffias up. Because basically, for the most part, what you do with it, and it holds its shape pretty good, right? And I just like it to look a little more tattered. So I'm just squinching it up there. I didn't do that very good. Okay, then you can trim. I don't like my things to be even, so I trim them at different lengths. You do what you like. Sometimes I like it to just like sit and, or look at it look at it the way it's going to hang, and then trim them so that you know where they're going to sit. Every now and then you'll trim one, and just like that one, and it'll just go all wonky. So that's okay too. And maybe you want yours shorter, then you could just make them shorter. You can still just kind of mess around with this. That guy's really obnoxious. He's not wanting to go where I want him to. So that is really long. All right. And then look how cute this is going to be in our little sign. Like, that's so adorable, you guys. So, all right, let's get on to the next guy here. So just squish them together. I like to, and these ones I am putting on the front. So just a little on the back. Put it on the front here. Okay, let's just kind of squish that guy up too. I use more in him. He's a thicker, bigger bow, but that's okay. It's a bigger pumpkin on that side. And then I can turn, oh, my hot glue did not die. It's amazing. I know I did just put the new battery in before I came on, and I only used it like for about 5 minutes, so it should have been good, but it really does not last long. All right. Just trim those guys all at different lengths. And I don't throw these away, because you could collect like a whole bunch this length and just make like a bow. Well, it wouldn't be a bow, but you could like use it like a bow. Do you know what I mean? Just wouldn't have loops. It would just be a whole bunch of these pieces all together, and I think that would be really cute. So I won't throw those away. trim that one any more than that for a second. I just want to stand it up. Okay, so first of all, before I finish trimming, let's just kind of squinch these all up here. This side too, and this side, and then we can make a decision on how long they're going to be. I always like to start longer because you can always cut them shorter, but you can't make them longer again unless you're gluing more pieces in there. So I'm going to make this guy short like that side because we don't want to take away from our pumpkins. So then this guy can be shorter on this side. I just gotta dump that. Let's just squish that up there again. These guys aren't actually squishing up, like in being all crinkly. I don't normally have a problem with that, but okay, there, that's better. I think some of these need to be a little shorter. There. All right, look, that is like super cute. Let's make this guy shorter too, and that guy. They don't all need to be the same length. So, in this guy here, he's like just bugging me, so he's coming off. All right. I have a piece of jute, and I'm just going to fold it over, get it in from the back side into our hole. Hopefully we can get that in there doubled over. Maybe I'll have to just single it through. Okay, all right, that's what we're doing. And then actually, no, that's not what I'm doing. Hold on a second here. Okay, then I'm just making a knot. I don't know what I thought I was doing there. Okay, now before I decide how long I'm going to make it, I'm bringing this stand in. Now I know you're not going to see this for a second. I just need to hang it on my stand to see how long I want it. So I'm going to cut this, and then I will turn it around. Well, I'll change cameras so that you'll be able to see all of this. And if you have problems getting this jute in, like I just give it a twist, but you can always put a piece of tape on the bottom of it. Okay, so I'm just gonna hang it again. Ooh, I like that length. That is a nice length. Okay, so I want my knot right around here. Whoops, that did not work. Let's see. I think I got it in the right spot. Yep, I did. All right. So can you see I was just kind of fluffing those, and if you don't like that knot there, you could always put it in the back side. I think it's fine here. If you want these pieces, I need different scissors for this. If you want these pieces shorter, just trim them up a little bit. Make sure you're good and tight before you do that, otherwise it's all going to come off. So all right, That is super cute. I am going to change camera views for you. But look how cute this is, you guys. Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, I am going to change camera view. Hold on. Okay, you guys, like, look at how stinking cute this is. So this is just what this post looks like by itself. I showed you at the beginning. And this is how it looks in the back. And I did like a distressed paint look on here. And I can always come back and like do a video on this guy here. So let me know in the comments if you want me to, and I will get it at the top of my list. So this guy can hang on here. Whoops, can't see things from back there. And then you can change it out for the seasons. And then, like I said, I have different interchangeables like this that that I'm hanging on there. And those will be a video, and everything will be up on the website, excuse me, soon. So let me just like turn some of these guys around so that you can see what they look like. And then we've got our pumpkin spice and our, whoops, that was me knocking that thing over because I don't think I was in camera. So our pumpkin spice season, our sweater weather, all for the sign. And then we did, or then we didn't do these today, but all of these coordinates. So there'll be different packages for kits. So you'll be able to pick and choose what you want to do. So, all right. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with me. I'm sorry this was a longer video. If you stuck with me till the end, fabulous. If you fast forwarded through a bunch, that's great too. So, they won't all be long like this, but this one just had a lot of different details. So anyhow, happy fall decorating. See you next time. Bye.